and they're angry at me and it makes me feel good.
See, the thing is, Kathy, that you've made a connection between how you behave, what you do for people, and their response to you, whether or not they care about you. You've linked it with behavior. The link is not with behavior, the link is with vibration. You made the incorrect connection. Because if the link is with behavior, then that means if you stop feeding the behavior, then they're not going to love you or care about you anymore. But relationships are not like that. Think about it this way. And I've seen this happen in my life as a financial advisor. I have absolutely seen examples of this happen. You get married to someone and you build this dream of, you're going to have so many children and this type of house, and you just build this whole life. And then one person gets into an accident or becomes sick somehow, and that dream is no longer a viable dream. What do? You say, oh, I dreamt this thing with you and now you can't pay for all these things that we said we were going to do, so bye-bye. And some people do say bye-bye. I've seen that happen as well. But when you say bye-bye, that means that your relationship was a transaction. As long as you keep doing this for me, then I will love you and care about you. And if you can't do this for me, then bye-bye. I don't want you in my life anymore. But that's not how relationships work. Relationships are not transactional. Transactional relationships are the ones that are temporary. Your relationship with your employer is temporary. If the employer stops paying you, you stop working. But if your son or your daughter, no matter how much pain and grief they give you, you don't stop doing things for them. Because it's not a transactional relationship. It's not temporary. In temporary relationships, we behave differently than we would in permanent relationships. Because the relationship comes first and everything else is secondary in a long-term relationship. But in a temporary relationship, it's a transactional relationship, and when the transaction stops happening, the relationship is over. What people do is they make the mistake of taking their long-term permanent relationships and making them transactional by focusing on behavior. If you don't do this, I will not do this. When you take a relationship that is a long-term relationship and you make it transactional, then that relationship starts behaving like a transactional relationship in the sense that the relationship is over soon as the transactions stop happening. But it's up to us whether or not we create a transactional relationship. It's how you think about things. So if you start telling yourself that your relationship functions because of what you do for the other person, now you've made it transactional. So let's say, and I'll say this about my mother because I have lived it, when she was bedridden, when I was a child, my mother was bedridden. She had back issues that made her confined to bed. She could not walk. And so she stopped cooking. Did I stop loving my mother? No, I loved her more. I tried to help her. I remember washing dishes and cooking food as a 6-7-year-old because I knew she needed help. So Don't take your long-term relationships and make them transactional. You didn't remember my birthday, so now I don't love you anymore. No, it goes beyond that. You didn't remember my birthday, you must have been busy. And I understand that even though you don't remember my birthday, you haven't stopped loving me. That's how we treat long-term relationships. Okay? So, how you define your relationship is entirely up to you. And Kathy, if you've made the mistake of saying that people only care for you because of the things that you do, I strongly suggest you stop and reevaluate whether those relationships are transactional or they're here to stay. Are they long-term relationships that you want to nurture and continue with? Because if a relationship is a long-term relationship that you're nurturing, it's not transactional. That's when we say, I am not able to do this for you, my son, my daughter, my sister, my brother, my parent. I am so sorry, but I don't have the resources, whether physical, monetary, or whatever. I don't have the resources to help you, but I know that you know that I still love you. A lot of times people don't do that. What people say to themselves is, that person has asked me to do something, and if I don't do it, they're going to stop loving me. And they take a relationship that is not supposed to be transactional and they make it transactional. We make it transactional by the way we think about it. And then, because that's what we've put forward, Law of Attraction says you will get whatever you believe. And so if you think that way about relationships and about people in general, then people will show you exactly that. Even though they are not like that with their other relationships, they will be like that with you because you're the one who has the belief. And so that brings us full circle back to the conversation I was having with Janet. Yes. So you see, here's the thing. Are you going to prioritize the person's behavior or the relationship or the long-term relationship? Are you going to prioritize making a decision based on somebody's temporary behavior, or are you going to prioritize the long-term relationship? Let me tell you, give you an example. I have a friend that is very dear to me. I have a few friends who are very, very dear to me. We went to school together, seen each other's children grow up. But months can go by when we don't talk to each other at all. But the reason that friendship has survived 30, 40 years is because we never say to each other, why didn't you check in on me for the last... You didn't check in on me for 9 months and now you show up at my doorstep? Mm-hmm. That would make that relationship transactional based on behavior. We don't do that. And that's why those relationships are so precious. Just the thought of them makes us happy because we have prioritized the relationship over the behavior. And in any relationship, we have the decision to make whether we are going to prioritize the behavior or the relationship. In the old days, organizationally speaking, people used to prioritize their relationship with the company. You started working somewhere, and if you worked hard and you did a good job, you knew you would rise to the top. The company would always look after you. You were going to be fine. Company loyalty, yes. And we would not leave the company even though we got another offer from somewhere. I have done that, been so loyal to an employer that I actually went and told them, this competition company is making an offer to me. So my relationship with the company was not transactional. It went way deeper. But then we ended up becoming a transactional economy. And when we ended up becoming a transactional economy, loyalty went out the door because now the relationship was not a long-term relationship. It became transactional. And so I'll join you, and 2 months later I'll leave you because someone else has made me an offer. And I will quitting. I will show up for work and take my paycheck, but I will not work for you. I will not do the work that I know needs to be done because there's no loyalty, because this relationship is now transactional. And companies work so hard to try and buy loyalty. But loyalty cannot be bought with money. It is a relationship, which means that even if you don't do certain things, I care about you so much that the relationship does not come to an end. And employers don't behave that way anymore, so employees don't behave that way anymore as well. General Motors, oh my goodness, people were loyal. Oh, Toyota, people were loyal. Any big company that you look at, Google, when Google started, people were loyal to the company, not just the other people in the company, but the company. Why? Because the company was like a person, in the sense that the company had ideals and vision and mission and beliefs, and they handled things in a certain way that people bought into the value system of the company, and that value system was personified by the leadership of the company. The vision and mission of the company was not something stuck on a wall. It was living and breathing in the hearts, the behavior, and the way the leadership handled situations. That is no longer the case in today's world. In today's world, the chief executive is a figment of your imagination because he or she has never even come to say hello to you. So how can you see them demonstrate those values? So yes, Samuel, that's right. So the employment landscape has changed these days. And there are people these days who are loyal to the company, and they feel jilted because then the company just hands them a pink slip without any preemptive, discussion. And they feel like, I was loyal to you for 20 years and you just walk up to my desk and hand me a pink slip? That was unheard of in the past. So when companies are handled differently, employees will behave differently. Interpersonal relationships are so important. And trust me, it's not the HR department that creates it. Has nothing to do with HR and everything to do with leadership. Leaders today have to create long-term relationships, not short-term transactional relationships. All right, folks, I really should go. I really can keep going on forever on this subject because I have strong opinions about it, but I'm going to stop now. Take care. Bye for now.